Thank you. And yeah, hi everyone. My name is Adrien Julienne. I work in Keep Your Securities marketing team, and I'm joined today by our very own Johnathan Padilla. I'm sure you've seen him in webinars or demos before, eating spicy salsa or dressed as Bob Ross. But Johnathan is one of Keeper's longest tenured solutions engineers and a respected security engineer in the community. So he's actually perfect for the topic we're going to be talking about today, which is why passwordless security is the future. So I'm pretty sure everybody on this webinar today will say that they hate passwords. They're a pain to use, and remember, billions of them end up on the dark web. Who knows how employees share them around at the office, and they're also the main cause for data breaches. So the future is trending more and more towards a fully end-to-end passwordless authentication process. And this is what we're going to dive into today. So thank you again for joining, Johnathan. I might interrupt you with a few questions, but the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Adrien. Thanks for that introduction. And yeah, passwords do suck, right? Especially when I create them. I just, you leave me to my own devices like, oh God, I got to create a new password. I'm gonna like reuse one that, I think is like long and strong, but maybe add an extra character or change something up or just like look at my desk and I see like a piece of extra bubble gum and base it off of that. It's like, oh man, that's like, so like these passwords that I create, I don't really trust so much. So let's start understanding that. I start understanding that, oh man, a lot of these breaches are done by credentials because a lot of passwords are weak and reused and not strong. So you start understanding that cybersecurity starts with password security. So passwordless security is the future. And let's dive into that. Let's dive into that topic today. And let's start with this. Let's start with this over here. Let me get over to my slides over here. Passwords do suck, right? 11 hours are wasted every year resetting passwords, right, per person. Let's think about that. 11 hours. A lot of people forget their passwords. They're not using a password manager per se to store their passwords and not have to remember them and get back access to them. And here they are. They're forgetting their password. So you have what? 11 hours wasted of help desk resetting passwords for people and individuals. So you think about that. Think about that. That's time is money. So now let's think about this. 50% of all help desk calls are password related. Do I dare say 50% of all help desk personnel are just resetting passwords? No joke. But think about that. Think about how reactive that is. And so on average, let's just think about average salaries. On average, that's an average cost of approximately $70 for one password reset. Let's move on. That's one reason passwords suck. They cost us money. So multi-factor. Let's look at that MFA conundrum. MFA is cool. Multi-factor is cool. I have it all over the place. TOTP, my security key, all sorts of stuff. And MFA can block over 99% of account compromise attacks. It could, but however, why is it? Why is it that, let's say, look at this, only 28% of Microsoft users have MFA on them? I have it on mine. I love it. It makes it easier, but users don't like extra security steps. It's like, oh my God, I just put in my username and password. Now I got to put it in a 2FA. And they find that annoying, although that is a nice security step to ensure that is you.
And they'll use their cell phone too for that generally, which is annoying.
Right. Absolutely. Their cell phone. It's like, oh, and that's a very, Adrien, I love that because this is a topic I want to bring up again later. So you have organizations that do integrate into their IDP stack, but all of a sudden they have to implement 2FA, and all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, we don't want people bringing their personal devices for this. Oh man, this states that we have to buy company devices. There goes that cost again. And so that's some of the percentage of why, they don't have it turned on their identity providers, not just Microsoft. It's not just Microsoft. So, MFA is a must, but it's like painful. It's very painful. So how do we get past all this painfulness? How do we make this easy? Let's keep on looking. So let's look at the roadmap to a passwordless future. All right. If not passwords, what are we going to utilize, Johnathan? What? No passwords. So what are we going to do? Biometrics. Many devices today support biometrics. My phone right here got a nice little biometric screen I could touch, or a pad, or my laptop, desktop has biometrics. Passkeys, we're going to be touching on passkeys, and that's headed down the pipe very quickly. I'm sure many of you have encountered these passkey creations and probably wondered, where are you supposed to store them? How are you supposed to utilize them? How are you supposed to share them across shared accounts? Single sign-on, I like that. A lot of us have an identity provider such as Microsoft, Okta, Microsoft Entra, Okta, Jump Cloud, OneLogin, et cetera, That makes a nice seamless entrance process into other applications that do support single sign-on. And this is a nice, better security and user experience for the end user. It's seamless. I've logged into here. I'm automatically going to go there. Ooh, all I have to do is touch here, and I'm automatically going to log in. I don't have to remember a password. That was pretty easy. And that's nice, but let's think about something. Legacy systems are considered the main barrier for passwordless authentication adoption. But why? Let's talk about legacy identity providers that don't support, say, single sign-on, number one. Number two, legacy devices that don't have biometrics or means for biometrics, right? Legacy systems. Let's move on. Passkeys. Let's talk about these passkeys. These are pretty cool. I love it. I love these passkeys. So a nice seamless authentication experience. They are more secure than passwords, and they're easier to use. And we'll see how and why. And it's a cryptographic key that can get utilized without entering a 2FA code, that annoying 2FA code, or the password. Oh, that's annoying. I got a username password 2FA code. That annoying process. So that's cool. It's a cryptographic key that is used to log in without having to do those processes. Passkeys are growing in popularity as you log into websites such as, recently I went into GitHub, and I'm excited to show this today too. Recently I logged into GitHub and I had to set up a passkey. And I'm like, oh man, where am I supposed to store this? I was utilizing my device, and I'm like, and I was quite surprised where I stored it. And now I'm going to show you this in a little bit. But these passkeys can be annoyances as well, such as the two factors. And why? Well, in our organization, we have shared accounts, GitHub accounts, all sorts of accounts that have 2FA. Remember that how 2FA experience, like, hey man, how are we supposed to share this GitHub account that has two-factor on it? Jonathan's the one that scanned it in his phone, but I need to use that credential, and I need to reach out to him all the time to get that two-factor code. I could say the same thing with passkeys, right? Same thing with passkeys. We're going to understand it as well. But Google will make passkeys a default login here in the near future, and it's already getting pushed down the pipe. So let's look at this. Challenges with passkeys at the workplace, as I mentioned already previously, right? Passkeys that are stored in platforms, Google, Apple, they can't easily be shared to, say, users or teams. Like, I want to share this key. It's like saying, hey, I want to share this 2FA that's on my phone, or that I shared a key that's on my phone, and how am I supposed to how am I supposed to do that? And think about that. Not every system and application supports passkeys. So, okay, all right, cool. The ones that do support passkeys, that's fantastic. Here we are going towards that passwordless future. But what about the ones that don't support passkeys? Single sign-on, as we all know today, SSO, many applications out there integrate with single sign-on providers in their stacks again, such as Azure. And this can reduce password fatigue, as a user already has an identity username password with Azure, and some login entrances with Azure. Rather, they're using security keys, touch, 2FA, Microsoft Authenticator. Ease of use, right? Increased productivity. Users like that. It's like, oh wow, I seamlessly logged into Microsoft Entra Office 365, and boom, I'm seamlessly getting authenticated to this other application, this web application that we're utilizing. This will minimize IT help desk tickets. Right? That's nice. It's the user is not going. It's not going to forget that single source of username or password that they're utilizing all the time. Right, when you have multiple ones, you start forgetting. It's like, oh, I have like 5 of them now. I'm forgetting like this first one that I utilize in Azure. And it simplifies compliances, right? That's beautiful. But let's keep on looking at that. SSO is great, but it does not cover everything. Not all applications integrate with single sign-on. There's hundreds and thousands of applications and native cloud applications out there that do support it, and there's thousands that don't. Especially those legacy SSO solutions. They're there, but nothing integrates with those legacy SSO solutions. It's like, oh man, so what was the point of this? And last but not least, to me, single sign-on can represent a single point of failure. Okay, this one Azure identity, my one Azure identity gets breached. I integrated single sign-on into that one identity, and now everything's breached. And so that's a single point of failure. I just really don't like that. I really don't like that. So now let's move on. Let's move on. Let's look at this. SSO plus passkeys plus what equals a passwordless future. Because Johnathan, you just told me not everything integrates with SSO, not everything integrates with passkeys. The same thing goes with biometrics. Not everything integrates with biometrics. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we still got a plethora of passwords that we need a handle and utilize. What's the solution? Well, the solution's Keeper. Let's look at that. SSO plus passkeys plus Keeper. For those of you who got it right, fantastic. Pat yourselves on the back. I already knew the answer, so I'm going to pat myself on the back anyway. That equals a passwordless future. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's dive into it real quick. It's just going to take a moment to take a look at that. Let's dive into that. So Keeper does integrate into a single sign-on identity provider stack. It doesn't matter who you're utilizing. We integrate with any IDP SSO. It's just SAML 2.0. Again, SSO providers such as Microsoft Entra, Okta, JumpCloud, OneLogin, et cetera, et cetera. So that's cool, having that seamless use of your identity. Keeper Password Manager. So naturally, our solution can store usernames and passwords that get utilized on web application websites and desktop applications. Last but not least, is Keeper browser extension. We need the experience to be easy, seamless. We don't need to fall in the conundrums of MFA conundrum, like, oh man, this is just an annoyance, this extra two-factor, this extra thing I need to do. We're going to understand how Keeper browser extension or the Keeper platform in general can assist and fill the gap for this passwordless future and ease of use to your users. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's take a look. Let's actually take a look at how this works real quick. Something very easy to understand and see. We're going to go to my Keeper Password Manager digital vault over here. And I'm already on this record. And this is a GitHub record that I told you about earlier that I used to utilize my username and password against, but all of a sudden, while I was logging in, as websites and applications are increasing the passkey adoption, I was forced to create a passkey. Last but not least, prior to my passkey, I did have 2FA on that account. And this is nice. That's right here in the record. Why is this nice? Well, it's nice for many reasons. Rather, I'm going to use it for myself, or now I need to share this information to someone else to utilize. Let's take a look at that experience, and let's take a look at that experience of that passwordless future. Let's come over here. Let's come over here real quick. Cool. And over here, I want to be expedient. We have this Keeper browser extension up here, and I want to show a nice seamless login here. I'm just log out of it real quick and show that this platform does integrate with single sign-on for users to easily and seamlessly utilize this platform to fill that passwordless future. I'm just going to select my single sign-on account. I've already authenticated today. I don't want to get challenged again. Hey, please provide your username and password again. No, I've already authenticated today. So that was seamless for me. Now, real quick, before we proceed, I do want to click on this browser extension, and then I want to move past this real quick because I told you I shared this credential. So let's take a look at this shared credential. I shared to the user. Oh, look at that. Now all of a sudden, right, I don't have this 2FA or this passkey on my device or on my phone that this user has to reach out to me for, and somehow I need to share it. It's right here in the record. They have full access to it. TOTP codes, passkey, and username and password in a secure fashion. Without further ado, let's look at the end user experience of utilizing this information easily and seamlessly to log into any website or application. And in this instance, I just want to be natural with my day. I like to type in where I'm going. I could use my own bookmarks, as you saw there, that GitHub icon with my frequently visited sites. However you want to work, just be natural. All right, cool. Here we are at the forefront of this. And I have a couple of options to log in. I could utilize username or password to get filled in, get logged in, and provide 2FA. And this is what's getting presented here, again, showing the information. But let's look at a quick, easy, seamless, passwordless future utilizing passkeys. a shared passkey. Easily and seamlessly on my web browser, just utilizing the Keeper Password Manager as it stores that information without my organization having to pay into a device or devices to store these passkeys, and then somehow now figure out how we're going to share them. I like that. I like that decreased cost in my operations. I like that I don't have to worry about BYOD.
One question that we hear often, Jonathan, is are passkeys essentially like MFA?
Passkeys contain all the information needed and required, the cryptographic key required, all the information required for that user to log into that website or application. So it's like everything is melded into one.
Right. So it's like a complex password that has an MFA component.
Exactly. It's like complex username, password, MFA jammed into a cryptographic key for the user to get logged in.
Yeah, were you going to show something else? Sorry.
No, apologies. I was seeing if there was any more questions to follow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll stop here again.
So yeah, absolutely. So that was me utilizing simplistically a passkey to get logged in. Now let's look at the other ladder. Let's look at the other ladder real quick. You know, what if that website, web application doesn't utilize passkeys? Other options again is utilizing username and password. Nice, long, strong username and password as Keeper likes to store username and passwords and set long, strong usernames and passwords. In this instance, I could use a passkey as 2FA as well. So those are options as well, utilizing a passkey as 2FA. Or continuing on with my TOTP. All right, that's nice. Again, that shared TOTP. That MFA that could and can block over 99% of attacks. Right, there it is, being utilized easily and seamlessly without me looking at the device, going down, trying to type it in, running out of time typing it in, or me reaching out to a user, trying to get that code from them and trying to utilize that code before it times out. That was nice, easy, seamless, quick, no extra steps, just utilizing the Keeper browser extension. I'll sign out from there. And that is how you can get to a passwordless future by utilizing a platform such as Keeper's EPM to bring the gap together. You have websites that have usernames and passwords, two-factor, websites that support SSO, websites that support passkeys. Keeper can now store the information for you to utilize easily and seamlessly across sites, across different devices, not just your desktop. You can move to your cell phone. You can move to another device. You can share with other people. They can use multiple devices to easily and seamlessly log in with the multiple login types that are currently available. I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point.
All right. Yeah, no, thank you, Jonathan. That was really cool. And I think, you know, from what we've seen is that a lot of people have heard about passkeys, but not everyone is familiar with them. So this is great to go over that. Like you said, Google has announced that they'll use passkeys in the near future. So this is where the industry is trending right now. But based on your experience, do you think that passkeys will get adopted quickly, or is it going to take a little bit of time?
I think with the right platform, to store the information, it can get adopted quickly, right? Because right now it's going to be too disparate, too sporadic. A lot of devices, a lot of platforms storing them. I think as we unify the use of them and how they get utilized, the adoption will increase. But this stated rather the adoption increases, right? There's two differences between adoption and what's the industry standard, right? What's getting pushed out there.
Right. And I think
our company's going to adapt to that, right? They're going to have to.
Right.
They're going to have to. So they're going to be forced to adopt.
Right. And one of the main challenges right now is that it can be complex for employees to share passkeys, and this is where using a password manager like Keeper helps facilitate that. So yeah, that was a great point.
Absolutely, right. Just like the 2FA codes back then, people were wondering, how are we supposed to handle this? How are we supposed to share this login entrance with our team now?
Right.
Right. Now here we are with the passkeys, and our platform can easily handle that.
Yeah. And then, so when you were sharing your screen earlier, so you were using the Keeper browser extension for autofill. A question that we often get is, are browser-based password managers safe, or are they good enough?
I would say they're not good enough. They're not good enough, especially once they're compromised. You think about a browser, how they store the information, how it's accessed. When I'm using my browser, I'm not forced to authenticate to access the information. When my device gets compromised, I mean, it's a hot mess. It's not a very secure way to store the information.
Right. And it can be challenging to share those credentials as well.
Right. We got people sharing profiles across browser profiles across multiple user environments. I mean, it just becomes a hot mess. The challenges and the hoops that people have to go through to share that information. You see the dollar signs go up, how much time you've wasted trying to come up with your own solution and support your own solution.
Right. And then, so you were talking about SSO as well, and you kind of talked about the security gaps. Can you go over this one more time? Just like what type of security risks lie with SSO?
Yeah, so security. So I think about that. I take a step back into the past, and I'm trying to remember when it was okay to have one username and password for everything. Right? Single sign-on. Right? SSO gets compromised. That's a gap right there. Right? One single point of failure. Number two, what else do we have going on as far as single sign-on? Your single sign, your IDP failure. If your SSO is not functioning very well, what are your backup methods to get into that application or website, for example? Not all websites do or applications do support SSO. So there we go. Or 2FA, or Passkeys. So what are we going to do to fill that gap again, get to that passwordless future? So let me say it like this. Of course, Keeper, for example, a website or an application that has no passkeys or multi-factor, well, where is that passwordless future, John? Because there is a password to it. Of course, there is. Using Keeper, you can set a nice, long, strong password for that entrance, but you're never directly utilizing it. It's hands off. It's seamless. Right. It's passwordless to the user. Keeper is handling that. And since you don't have to know what the username or password is, and Keeper's handling that, you can set 32, 42 character passwords, right? Increasing that strength, right? The complexity of that password, the complexity and the security of it from getting breached, easily getting breached.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Johnathan. I think we're going to run out of time. So thank you for having us. And yeah, if you'd like to learn more about Keeper, we can set you up with a free 1-year personal plan. If you'd like to sign up for a demo, maybe you'll be lucky enough to do it with Johnathan. But yeah, head over to keepersecurity.com and we'll be in touch from there. But thank you again. Back to you guys.
Cheers, everyone.